Oh my god, wow. Since the last devlog, a lot has changed. Where do we even start? So since the last video, only the quest system and the start of the castle dungeon layout was created. That's what we left the game, and here's where we are at now. Let's start with the elephant in the room, and that's the map. I've spent the last couple of weeks tweaking the level layout and creating some trim sheets for the game's walls, floors, and general assets. I created the trim sheets using Blender and ZBrush. I would model the low poly in Blender, and then I would import it straight into ZBrush for high poly sculpts and details. This would then be baked onto a plane in Adobe, ready for texturing and UV unwrapping for bulk asset creation. I created a stone tile for the floor, a castle brick tile for the walls and the ceilings, as well as some of the assets, and then I've also created a new wood tile for basic wooden assets such as barrels, crates, beams, all of that jazz, really. Some of the assets you also see, it was created by our other environment artist, Emmy. Please go check her out. She does amazing things and she's helped so much carry this project to where it is today. The environment looks so much more full and it's all thanks to her. So go check out her socials. I mainly imported them into the scene and laid them out, and it helped the environment look more full. The art direction and the level design is what took the longest when creating this prototype, purely because I wanted to see how it would be integrated into the main story and how the gameplay would flow. I still want to make some tweaks by optimizing the level, adding in some VFX and sorting the lighting out, but at the moment it was mainly just putting prototypes down? Is that the word? Prototypes? Placeholders. It was mainly just putting placeholders down and sort of blocking out where I want everything to be. I also managed to implement some basic puzzles and platforms for the player to figure out, ready for playtests. Liam's currently working on the parkour system for the player, and I cannot wait to show you all. In the meantime though, we have a really basic painting puzzle where you have to rotate the frames in a specific direction to open the door. We also have some locked doors where you have to find the right keys to open which one. As well as a button gate mechanic. They're all really basic at the moment, but that was just me chucking in some gameplay loops ready for playtesting, essentially. I struggled a lot with the programming side, as I could follow tutorials, but I would be absolutely lost the moment a bug came out of nowhere. So a lot of these systems work, but only to an extent. As soon as our deadlines are over though, it means we have all the time to work on this, and we will be putting proper systems in place rather than my buggy code. I also tweaked the UI to be more polished, as well as import Clara's designs on, and that helped the game look so much more full. As far as the title screen goes, we are slowly getting there. I'm slowly building the environment up, but it looks okay for now. I'm leaving it for now because I really want to take my time when creating the castle assets, and yeah, it's like the main part of the game. I want to do some more concept arts with it and see where I can go. Amazing news also, we now have the main character imported into the game. She looks absolutely amazing, and that is all thanks to Clara.
Hi, I'm Clara and I'm the character artist for this project. After gathering references with Sooty and creating the concept art, I started with the 3D model of the princess, as she's the main playable character. I started out using the female-based model in ZBrush as a reference and modified it so it was the right size for a child character. For the modeling process, I mainly used the clay build-up brush, the flatten brush and Dynamesh to refine the edges of the model. I wanted to create a stylized look, which I achieved by creating sharper edges and slightly exaggerated shapes. I used the same tools for the hair and also created strands using a hair curve brush. For the clothes, I extracted a masked area and then used the same brushes I used for the character to shape them. For the fur, I tried different techniques to find the right style for our character. So first I tried to use fiber mesh, which looked way too realistic for the style we chose. Then I tried the stylized fur brushes by Ollie. At first I liked how the fur looked, but I noticed that they caused a lot of distortion at the back of the mesh. So I tried using the /3 brush in ZBrush to sculpt the fur by hand, and it came out exactly how I wanted. Finally, I added the last details to the model, such as the plants, the book satchel, the belt loops and the flask. After getting final feedback from Sooty, we decided that the hair did not quite match the reference and overall looked a bit off, so I modeled a more stylized and chunky hairstyle that fit with the rest of the character. This is the final character model in ZBrush, and from there I moved on to Maya to create the retopology and UV unwrap the model. For most parts of the model, I already created a low poly mesh using the zero mesher, but for others, such as the fur, I had to create a mesh by hand using the quad draw function in Maya. The fur took especially long as it was very detailed, and in the future I hope to experiment with more ways to make this process a bit more efficient. Once I finished the rig topology process, I started UV unwrapping the mesh. To do this, I first created 5 materials in Maya's hypershader. One for the accessories, one for the character, one for the clothes, the eyes and the hair. I created separate materials for the eyes and the base character, as I didn't want the meshes affecting each other in the baking process later on. Once I'd finished this step, I moved on to rigging the character. I usually use Quick Rig in Maya for this step, but you have to add the finger joints manually, so Sooty suggested I use Mixamo as they offer an auto rigging option that includes hand rig. The process itself was pretty easy and turned out quite well, however there was a few issues with the weight painting that resulted in clipping, especially with the poncho. Fixing the weight paint of the poncho took a very long time as I had to be very precise, so in the future I would probably try to find different solutions for this. Once I completed this step, I shared the final model and rig with Sooty to implement into the game engine before I start texturing, just in case there are any issues with the mesh. Once she sent me a video of the character working in Unreal, I was able to move on to texturing. At a previous stage in this project, I already tried a few techniques to achieve the stylized look that we were going for, and although we both liked the textures I created, we wanted to push the stylization even further. So I downloaded the simple diffuse generator by Enhanced School, and this generator made the process so much more efficient as it created the style that we were after, using ambient occlusion to create highlights and shadows. Once we established the base colors, I added paint layers to create more details such as shadows, creases or highlights. I also focused on adding more depth and details to the face of the character. Finally, I exported the textures and shared them on our drive so Sooty could add them to the game. So this is the final character implemented into the environment. For the future development of this character, I would like to create a dynamic rig for the poncho as well as the hair to create a simulation, which will make the character's movements look much more organic. Once the character was finished, I used the remainder of the time to create the user interface for the game. I created a design for the menu as well as for the quest log. We wanted to ensure that the UI matches the medieval environment as well as the art style of the game, while also ensuring that the writing is legible. The next step for this project would be to create the character of the Queen, model the lantern as well as other assets for the environment.
We've imported some animations from Mixamo for now, so I can make a quick animation blueprint for her. And oh my god, she complements the environment so much. This is starting to look like a proper game now. I'm not the best at character blueprints, so she did have some funny glitches along the way. Like this one, for example. Where is she going? Or this one, where you can change her blueprint to the NPC, and the results are terrifying. Ruin is now a horror game. In this devlog, I can announce some amazing news. Ruin will be attending its first convention ever this year. We are absolutely thrilled to be accepted into Impact Indie Games 2026, an indie game showcase based in Bristol. So if you're local to the area, feel free to pop down and come see the game. We're also building a game studio up from the ground, so we even have business cards to hand out. Thank you so much to the people behind the event for allowing us this opportunity. We are so excited to show off what we have so far and where we wish to go with it. Bit of a short one, but much more content to showcase this time. I also added in some music Clara and I have been making, as well as some free sound effects for now. We've just been spending the past couple of weeks finishing up uni and preparing for the convention day. I hope you enjoyed today's devlog. You guys have shown so much support recently and I appreciate it so much. Stay tuned for more.